Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm in Kashmir at the moment, so today I greet you like a Sufi. Today is just a quick video to talk about how I recommend approaching taking psilocybin or magic mushrooms in a ceremonial manner. So a few people have been asking me this since my last sermon called The Goddess Sophia is the All-Seeing Eye. In that sermon I go into how the magic mushroom is actually the Eucharist, and it's embedded in a lot of ancient Christian art as the fruit that Eve gives Adam, and it's communion. It's a sacred experience of having really deep communion with the holy Sophianic God consciousness, and so much wisdom is revealed. Of course we have scriptures, and these are wonderful. They point the direction, they open our hearts, they make us think, but there really is nothing that can compare to an actual lived experience beyond words. It just is in your whole being. Right, so this is what the magic mushroom gives us, and not just in ancient Christian understanding. I don't know how it became the wafer. Well, I do, probably Catholics, but it goes beyond. It's across cultures, thousands of years old, as the magic mushroom is revered. So, yeah, the first thing I want to say is we just need to change our thinking about it, because society has demonized it as a drug, right? Oh, that's just packed up with cocaine, it's a drug. You know, it's for misfits. And I remember nobody told me it was a religious tool. So in my early 20s, I took magic mushrooms a few times in a very sort of party mode, you know, like out at music festivals. Like most young 20-year-olds, I was very stuck in my own trauma. I had no awareness. I had a lot of pain in myself. I was driven by a lot of compulsions and desires, and you know, I just wanted to have fun with my friends, which is okay. But those experiences weren't really good for me, because it makes you so sensitive. It's such a deep communing substance that when you're surrounded by other people, it's overwhelming because you're picking up everything, you know. So the first thing I would say is the communion should happen alone. It's about you and the Supreme One being, Mother, Father, God. That's who it's for. So it's okay, I guess, if you are someplace with a friend, but just because you're there together, maybe both to do the sacrament or the communion. But for me, I would highly recommend that you can touch base on the day of it occurring, but then really do it separately. Go into your own spaces, and if you touch base again, that's okay, because another person is a whole nother experience, right? So you don't want anything to sway the experience or take it off course, because you start picking up other people's stuff, you know. And it's the other thing as well is that we all have this social constraint of, like, you don't get naked in front of another person, right? You kind of edit yourself, or you hold back in a way because you don't want to be perceived in a certain way, right? And for me, the sacred mushroom asks you to become fully immersed with the animal in you. So I've had experiences of, like, being in on the earth, on the ground, just wailing and doing whatever came to me, honestly, like immersing into the earth, making guttural sounds. Like, I became, and I sometimes go into these spaces of, you need to feel completely free to not edit anything that is coming out of you. You have to allow everything. So being alone is really good for that, because you're not sidetracked by another person's experience or what they expect of you. Number one, okay, be alone. Number two, I would say, is go to nature. So this consciousness that reveals to us, Sophia, is nature. She is earth, she is Gaia. Gaia is alive, and she is wisdom, and she is love. And be somewhere where she is abundant, right? And nature brings everyone into a very serene, meditative, clear space. So go somewhere beautiful for you, beautiful. I would really recommend that. For me, I told you before, I did some mushrooms in my early 20s. Then I didn't touch the stuff because I had such weird experiences. Then I went through over a decade of recovery. I never touched any psychedelics. Toward the end of my recovery, not that recovery ever ends, but the real sort of chunk of it, it kept coming up. But I knew in my body, I knew I was having a new understanding of magic mushrooms, but I was like, I'm not ready. So this is the other thing is, you know when you're ready. It will call you, you will know. You will know in your heart, like when it's time to possibly do that, to commune. It will feel right for you, right? It might be new and exciting and you might be unsure, but you'll know. So I never did mushrooms for a long time, for over 10 years. And I only did it again for the first time in 2019. Now with a full new understanding of it being communion, right? Where I did these things, like went into nature, was alone. And that's when it became really special. So also, just to let you know, some people can hold on to or get fixated or compulsive about the psychedelic experience, right? Which in a way is, I mean, it's okay, whatever happens is happens, such is life. But I'm saying that, like, to give you an example, I did communion once in 2019 and I did it again at the end of 2020. So I've done it twice. I haven't done it since, because it's such a massive experience. And from my perspective, it's good for us to integrate that and ground that into our lives. Some people get fixated on the plant medicine experience and they might do it too often because they want to just keep having that transcendental experience. But I think the point of it is to bring it into ordinary life and to realize that the ordinary is extraordinary, and it's the mundane is beautiful. So I will only do a communion again if I feel it. So I've only done it twice, just to let you know. So it's not like a compulsive thing. It's, you don't overdo it. That's my opinion. But the substance is so powerful. You don't need to, start treating that like an addiction, right? Okay, so change your perception of it. Do it alone. Go into nature. You'll know if you're ready for it. And, some people are like, well, where do I find mushrooms? I guess if you're ready, you will know. It starts calling you, and you see, maybe you saw my video and you were like, oh, weirdly, I was just thinking about that, and it starts coming to you. And then you might cross a friend that you haven't seen in ages, and they're kind of into this stuff. So then you feel the instinct, like, hey, ask them. So maybe you ask them, and that friend's like, oh yeah, actually no. So just follow the trail of your own nose, right? And if it's meant to be, it comes. Like, it'll be very easy, and like where you'll go as well, you'll just it'll start presenting itself to you. Like, oh yeah, I remember going to that mountain or that beautiful place as a kid. Oh, that's not so far away. And it'll start presenting itself, So allow it to just unfold naturally. Okay, so that's the, I don't know what number I've given at the moment. This is supposed to be a short video, but okay, and then the other thing I was going to say is prepare. Meaning, you know it's coming, so if you're going to be doing a ceremony, you automatically know it's coming. So your body is already kind of preparing itself. And I like to say it's like a wedding day, you know, you clean yourself for it. So whatever gets you into a holy space is what I recommend. So it's different for everyone. For me, I like to do breath work, some kundalini, some meditation, a bit of fasting. So I'm really preparing my system and I'm calming it down and I'm getting into a meditative space and clearing the energy so that I come clean to it, you know? You don't want to just like be working 9 to 5, like going crazy, doing all these things, da 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 da. Oh gosh, I got to get out there and take my mushrooms, and you drive out there and you take mushrooms. You know, it's like you're bringing all this energy when you go into the space. So it's important to prepare the vessel. So I would even recommend, like, if you do go into a beautiful place, a natural place, go a few days or even a week, or as long as you can beforehand, so you can be there immersed in that and bring your system into calm, bring the mind down into spaciousness, right? We really need to have the mind clear. If we come in with all this overwhelming energy and you're thinking about that too much and you're thinking about this one and that one and the mind is overworking itself, that's where the experience will go. So the most important thing is to clear the mind and let it take a back seat and just be present in the heart. And for me, on the morning when I do the mushrooms, I don't take more than 1 gram or 2 of dry mushrooms. I've done fresh before. With fresh, sometimes you need to take a bit more, but the dry ones, the psilocybin is more concentrated. And I will take 1 gram, have an experience for a couple hours, and then maybe take the next one. Some people do this hero's dose, which is fine, but I find 1 to 2 grams is really a lot. So it depends on you, but you don't need to go wild. Or you do, maybe you do, I don't know what you need to do. But on the day, for me, I will make a smoothie, something really light and fresh, just to get some basic food, clean food into my system, but nothing heavy. And I will have that, and maybe an hour later, when that started to move through the system, then I will take the mushrooms. And once I've taken them, I've already kind of thought about, my body's already leading me, so just let her lead you. Like, you don't have to be sanctimonious. It's just like, it's about following your intuition. So in my 2019 experience, I knew I wanted to be in nature. So I was right outside, deep in the bushes. And as I took the mushrooms, I sat in meditation and I did some kundalini breath work, moved my body, brought the energy up. And I did a lot of Brahmi breath, the bee breath, which is just continuously. It's a very powerful yogic breath. The frequency of the hum, the bee frequency in the whole system, just calms everything down. So it is very important, like in your preparation, to come into calmness. And I don't know what techniques everyone uses, but pranayama, breath work, and meditation, they're very solid. They're solid, tried and tested techniques. But take some breath work with you into it. I really recommend that. Whether it's Brahmi breath, yogic breath, where you take deep, long breaths and you breathe into your stomach, chest up into the upper chest, so you fill the whole cavity. Release. Or you can do the 4 breaths in, hold for 4, 4 breaths out, hold for 4, 4 breaths in. There's many techniques, but coming into breath is the quickest way to calm everything down. The mind will just stop. You'll see it's wonderful. So I come into that space straight as I've taken the mushrooms. And the experience comes on as I'm doing the breath work or in meditation. So I'm using my holy tools in the ceremony itself. And then I just go wherever I like, whatever feels good. I remember my 2019 experience. I was in KwaZulu-Natal, my home province, the land of the Zulus. It's beautiful. Rugged beach, coastline, no one around, mangroves, just wild coast and nature. It was gorgeous. So I was sitting for a while, then I was guided to just walk along the beach, and I would go into whatever pulled me. I remember seeing a dead bee on the ground, and I went there for a while and had a whole experience with the consciousness of the bee. It was too much to express here, but go, whatever. You're a child walking in the Garden of Eden with your holy parents, and you'll see it's so wonderful. It's so sweet. It's so sweet. So just go wherever you feel. And what I like to do as well, so then after a little bit I came back to where I was staying in this cottage, and I had already prepared like really delicious honey cookies. I made these honey biscuits filled with like walnuts and almonds and things that I love, and there was beautiful fruits and things that I like to eat. So I had all that ready in the kitchen. So whenever I never feel like I want to eat a lot, but it's just nice to have everything prepared, because you don't want to be making food while you're having a transcendental experience. So I took some cookies in my bag with me, and then I ate some of the nuts whenever I felt that. It was wonderful. So yeah, just have beautiful things prepared that you love. In my 2020, in November 2020, I didn't want to go outside. Even though I was in nature, I just sat by a fireplace actually the whole time. I sat in meditation position with a mudra, Buddha mudra. So that I was guided to do that. It might be completely different for you. So just follow your deepest instincts. And just surrender to this power, this love. It's so gorgeous. It's really, And, in that 2019 one, I had a very blissful experience. In 2020, I also had a blissful experience, but I was shown a lot of the paradoxical nature of God, or the consciousness of God. And even though that was difficult for my ego to comprehend, I still felt safe, because I understood what this was. I'm not some kid treating this like some party substance, trying to have a good time, but I'm like, all this stuff is, there's too much information and too many people around me. When you know something is religious, and you've sanctified yourself, and you've readied yourself, and you're prepared, and you've prayed, perhaps you have your own intention, and you have brought yourself to it with humility, and you surrender to God. Even if you've shown difficult things, it doesn't overwhelm, because you're being held by yourself and God, because you're there as a sovereign, conscious, autonomous being going, I'm communing right now. And it's wonderful. So this is now 20 minutes, but that is my recommendation for having a sacred ceremony. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. No. If I remembered everything I said, I would go through it in point form right now, but I don't quite remember the whole thing. But just always follow your heart. You know what's best for you. You are the guru. She is speaking through you, your heart. Your instincts are good. So yeah. And only do it when you feel ready. You know, even if you understand, I understood intellectually for a few years, like, oh, in my 20s, I was probably doing mushrooms wrong. People are, it could actually be quite opening in a way, but I somehow wasn't ready for it. My body, it wasn't opening for me. Then don't fight it. Let it go. It's not the right time. If it's the right time, it's the right time, and you know when it's the right time. Yeah. Okay. So, sending everyone all my best. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say is, this is a good time to do it in Leo season, because the earth is aligned with Sirius, our spiritual sun, and Leo is the heart, you know, so there is something about this few month period where it's deeply powerful because of the nature of where the earth is and Sirius. Which brings a lot of illumination and a lot of grace, a lot of love. It coats. It's that dolphin energy. It's just agape. It's just like, oh, it just holds you. But again, I wouldn't say do it unless, even though it's Sirius time, Leo season, I wouldn't say do it just because of that, unless you truly feel it, you know. I've also done it in November in 2020. So it's when it comes about for you. That is exactly when is the perfect time for you. Okay. Sending everyone so much love, and yeah, I hope this helps. Goodbye.